everybody, hello everybody, hello everybody, hello everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like furry and furry content, as well as arts and crafts, you are in the right place. Make sure to hit that like button on this video and subscribe to my channel if you like this kind of content, and let's get on with the video. So today is another episode of Make a Mask with me. Make a mask with me. We're going to be making a mask. So this is where I basically make a mask in a video and talk about anything. So I'm going to be rambling about my gender identity today. So first of all, if you didn't know, I am trans. I'm transgender. I was assigned female at birth and then transitioned to be more aligned with my masculine identity, I guess. Now, my gender identity itself is trans mask. I technically fall more under the non-binary umbrella, but because I look like a cis man, people don't really like acknowledge that. But I am more so non-binary than like a man. I use the label trans mask. I'll say like I'm trans. I'll say I'm trans mask. I'll say I'm like a guy sometimes. I'm more mask aligned rather than fully being a man. But anyway, I also identify with like masculine terms and like with being a man, but it's more complicated. I'm actually gonna trace the eyes that I cut out of this other mask onto this mask so I don't have to do any work. So perfect. But anyway, so I use he, him pronouns and they, them pronouns. So I don't really have a preference for either. I usually either one, you can switch between them. You can pick just one set and use it. I don't really care either way, but you know, he, him pronouns, they, them pronouns, either one. Now, technically, they, them pronouns would be more accurate if you're referring to like us collectively. If you don't know what I mean by collectively, I have a condition called dissociative identity disorder, or DID, which means that instead of having one sense of self, I have more than one. So I'll put a little eye icon up here in the video to talk, if you want to watch the video where I talk more about my experiences with DID. But other than that, my pronouns being they, them could also refer to me being more than one person, essentially. So they, them is probably most accurate. But he, him aligns with what I look like, so he, him is good. But basically I'm going to talk about like my transition, like history. So basically I was able to transition pretty young. So I'm only 21 years old. That's relevant because I know I look a lot older than I am, but I'm only 21. So I came out as trans in 2016 when I was 13, I think. I was 13. So when I was a kid, I didn't really know about trans people. I didn't really know about the LGBT community at all. Not because I wasn't supposed to, or like my parents were against it. It just wasn't something that people talked about like around me. So I didn't know what a trans person was until I met one. So I was it was very clear. It's very clear, like, looking back, that some of the things I did or some of the things, like, I thought about were just signs of me being trans this whole time. Now, not every trans person... Now, listen, just to be clear, this is my experience as being a trans person. Like, this does not apply to every single trans person's experience. Like, making that very clear. My experience is actually very, very widely different than a lot of trans people's experiences. So, just putting that out there. But when I was 13, I started... Well, I've been a mentally ill person like my entire life. I have a lot of mental illness and PTSD and a lot of conditions that make life a little difficult. But I've been on medication and therapy and seeing psychiatrists and doctors since I was probably like 11. But when I was 13, things got a little more severe. So they decided to put me in a psychiatric hospital for a little while. That was the first time I was admitted. I've been admitted to the psychiatric hospital like 7 times in my life. 3 times in the year I came out as trans. Anyway, so in 2017, when I was 13 years old, I was put into the psychiatric hospital for the first time. It was beneficial. But anyway, while I was there, I met this guy. His name is Sydney. And he was super cool. I was like, oh, you are awesome. I felt like this connection to him. I felt like there was some other, like... I was like, why do I feel so drawn to Sydney? I was like, he seems cool. You know what I mean? I was like, what is this? Like, why do I feel this connection to him? It was like a stronger connection than I've ever felt with anyone. I was like, what is this? Because I didn't have like feelings for him. I didn't know him. So it wasn't that. But I was like, there's this connection here. And so come to find out, so I was a bit confused at first when I met him because everyone was using he, him pronouns for him, but he was 12 at the time. I was 13. So he like had short hair and like used he, him pronouns, but had not like medically transitioned yet because he was 12. So I was like, what's going on here? But I didn't ask anything because that's inappropriate. But eventually, I found out he was trans. And I was like, what is that? I never asked him or brought it up with him because it's inappropriate for me to do that, especially at the psych ward, you know what I mean? But I was curious. I was like, he's trans. And I was like, I felt this, like, connection to it. Now, I'd heard about trans people in a couple, like, contexts before, but they weren't, like, positive. I didn't really know what being trans really meant. I just knew, like, something's going on with people's genders. So after I get out of the hospital, so I lose track of Sydney, but I talked to him for a little bit, and I was like, I feel like I might be trans. So I go home from the mental hospital, like, a couple weeks later. I just start, like, feeling, I keep feeling that connection, like, like, I don't know, something about Sydney, and he drew me a picture. He drew me a picture of one of my OCs that I still have, and it's one of my like, most cherished items, because I wouldn't be, like, in any close... my life would be so different, it's, like, inconceivable if I had never met Sydney. Because if I never met him, I wouldn't have found out I was trans probably for years. I never would have found out. But I met him, and I was like, And because I met him at that exact time, I'm now a theory and YouTuber. And I have a loving boyfriend, and I went to the college I went to. I mean, all of these things directly tie back to that very moment of meeting Sydney and finding out I'm trans right then. I don't really look into what being trans means for a while. It's probably like a month later, and I randomly bring up, like, on a whim at my friend's party. I'm like, hey, would you guys hate me if I was a boy? Like, those exact words. And they were like, no, what? I was like, I think I might be trans. And they're like, oh, that's fine, that's cool. Like, alright, slay. And I was like, okay, cool, yay. So then, that night at the sleepover, I'm on my phone, and I'm looking up, like, what, like, being trans, like, I was like, I'm trans, but I had no idea what it meant, or, like, what you had to do, or what it entailed. I was just like, I'm not a girl. I start Googling stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I get really excited. Like, it just feels right. I get this, like, really, like, euphoric feeling, like, oh my god, like, I'm trans, that's who I am, you know what I mean? And so I get home from the sleepover, and I tell my mom, like, hey, I'm trans. And she's like, oh. I don't really remember much after that, but, so this was 2017, and I don't really have much memories from 2017 or the following 2 years. 2018 and 2019 are essentially blank in my mind unless something relevant, like, triggers a memory to come up. But I don't really know anything about those years. But basically, in 2017, I was hospitalized 3 times. So the first time was that summer when I realized I was trans, and then the next time was that following fall. So I had started my transition because my parents were supportive, because I have really, really loving and supportive parents, thank God. They let me get my hair cut short, and it's not as short as I want it to be, but it's short, you know, and then, because my hair was, like, down to, like, my chest, and then I cut it to, like, shoulder length. I wanted it longer, I wanted it shorter, but they cut it to shoulder length. But I get my hair cut, and then I eventually get it cut shorter, and then right in the nick of time, I pick a name, and am immediately sent to the psych ward again. But I picked a name, and that's currently my legal name, but it's not the name I go by anymore. I did go by it for so long that we got it legally changed, but it's not my name. So collectively as a name, our name is Reagan, or Rory for short. So our name is actually Reagan, but we go by our first preferred name, or our first chosen name, I guess. And we get to go by that name at the hospital, because they're like, okay, cool, you can go by that name, whatever. And it was awesome. For the next 2 years, I get really, really upset because I just don't understand why people won't see me as a guy. Because I really, really did not want to be a girl. It didn't fit. It didn't feel right. And I hated, like, anything that reminded me of being a girl. And for those few years before I was on testosterone, I did not pass at all. I was really isolated and alone, and it got really, like, dark, and things were bad for the following, like, 2 years. That's why I don't remember 2018, 2019. But then in 2019, a couple things happened. So that following summer, so in the summer of 2019, when I'm 16 years old, my birthday's in June, so I turned 16, and like a month later, I end up getting on testosterone. I had to go through gender therapy for a couple years in order to get testosterone, because I was 16 when I started. But I was 16, so I started testosterone, I'm like, yes, this is it, testosterone. And so I'm on testosterone, and I start to pass because my voice deepens like really, really fast. And even though I didn't pass like physically, my voice passed, and that was enough for people. So people started referring to me with he, him pronouns and like being like a guy. And I was like, yes, this is what I wanted. So it's pretty cool. And then also in 2019, I have a consultation for top surgery. Now, I was constantly at the risk of dying these years, and one of those things that was like actively adding to me wanting to not be alive was the fact that I had a chest. It was awful. I was also a lot bigger at the time than I am now, so my chest was bigger too, and it was just burdensome and awful. I would wear a binder every single day. I had a couple different binders, so don't worry, I was like clean, but but I had like a bunch of binders. I would wear them every day, all day. I'd sleep in them. I would take them off to shower and then put them immediately back on for like 2 years. So that's what I did in 2018 and 2019 before I got top surgery. So my parents were like, wow, this is not good. So we go to the consultation, and they're like, yeah, you know, top surgery, we can do it for you. It'd be pretty cool. It's not going to be covered by insurance though, because you are a minor. Because in the state of New York, you can't, at least not when I went, you can't get gender affirming surgery until you're 18. Most surgeons will not do it because insurance won't cover it. They'll do it, you just gotta pay out of pocket. So the two surgeons I had to choose between, that like our insurance was like, yeah, these ones, if you're 18. One of them was like, yeah, I don't even take patients under 18 because insurance just doesn't cover it. And then this guy was like, if you pay out of pocket, I'll do it. I was like, all right. So the surgeon I went to happened to be like only like 45 minutes away from my house. So it wasn't like that bad. I didn't have to like stay overnight in the hospital or like travel or anything. But basically insurance was like, yeah, we're not gonna cover it. But my doctor was like, yeah, but because insurance isn't gonna cover it, we'll knock a couple thousand off the price. Which wasn't much because it was still like $8,000. And I was like, that's a lot of money. But my dad was like, listen, this is so important. I just knocked over this guy. I'm so sorry. He's like, this is like important because you are like constantly at the risk of not being alive right now. And I was like, yeah. Listen, when they say gender affirming surgery is a life-changing surgery or like life-saving surgery, they're not kidding, because it was for me. Like literally, I would not be here if I didn't get top surgery. I wouldn't have made it. So I had the consultation in the fall of 2019 before COVID, and then COVID happens. So my surgery was scheduled before COVID kind of like existed. Well, not before it existed, before it was like a problem. Well, not before it was a problem. It was always a problem, but anyways, before it was like nationally covered. My surgery was scheduled for May, like the first week of May. But they had to keep pushing it back because they're like, listen, COVID. So then eventually, like, they're like, yes, May, whatever, like 22nd, 23rd, some random day. They're like, okay, we can get you in. So I go there. I get top surgery. And it literally was the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I'm not even joking. Literally, it was crazy because my brain doesn't form memories correctly, obviously because I have DID. So that's why I completely don't remember 2017, 2018, 2019. A lot of it's very, very blank or completely blank, like 2018, 2019. But I got top surgery and I started forming memories a lot. So in 2020 is the first year that I have consistent memories from in my entire life because I got top surgery and was able to live like more as my authentic self. I've never regretted top surgery for even 1/2 of a second. It's literally the greatest thing that has ever happened to me, and I recommend it. It's awesome. I also love how my top surgery results are, because the surgeon that did it was also the only one that would like do it. But it's okay because the results were chill. The results were good. It's funny. So I had top surgery that May, and I was a heavier person. I was a lot heavier than I am now. And so they did the surgery, and I ended up, like, losing a lot of weight. So the weight, like, I had, like, dog ears, and then he was like, no, don't worry, I got you. So I did a revision the following December. So 6 months after I had top surgery, I had a revision. For free, because he filed it a certain way under, like, insurance with a scar treatment or something. He scheduled it like this is a scar revision, not a correction to the surgery. It's a scar revision, guys. And so it's free. I didn't have to pay for the revision. And now I love my top surgery results. I think they look fire. I've never shown them like anywhere online. I will eventually. Like, I am getting more confident in myself as a person. I tend to be mean to myself about like what I look like. Lately, the past few months has been getting easier for me. Anyway, I got the snout onto the mask. So this is the first mask I'm working on. I didn't talk about what animals I'm making, so this one is going to be a wolf mask for myself. I'm making a personal mask. And I realized that I had to line the snout up a certain way for it to be the right shape on my face. So we're going to go test to see if I made it the right shape. So we're going to reveal my face for a little bit there. But I'm going to line this mask up, and if this doesn't say, I'll hold it for a second. So mask off for a minute. Oh, at least I can drink my drink. I'm waiting for the glue to dry so I can't actually hold it in my face yet. One thing about this specific Monster Energy though is that when I drink it, it dyes like the corners of my mouth like red. But but my mustache like hides it because of the angle. So I have to like, I look in the mirror and I'm like, have I had that red mark on my face all day? And then I wipe it off, but I don't notice because I don't look in the mirror, and if I look fast, I don't see it because of my mustache. So I'll be like, it'll be like the evening time, and I look in the mirror and I'm like, should have had that red monster, but okay. So we're gonna line this up and see if it works. Okay, I gotta trim it a little bit. So if you're wondering what I'm looking for when I size it to my face, see how this mask, my mouth lines up with it, like almost perfectly. I want my wolf mask to do the same. The problem is the wolf mask has a longer snout. So in order to get that, I just make the angle not as sharply turned downward as I usually do. Which I think I did on accident. Because I wasn't paying attention to anything I was doing. It was just automatic because I was talking. But I think I did it right. So I actually have to just trim a little bit off the bottom of the snout, which isn't too bad. Because I want it to line up like perfectly with my mouth. And I know when I sculpted the foam clay, I'll make it a little thicker. So I have to trim just the snout a little bit. So now we're gonna test it again. So let's see. Okay. Okay, so. Also, those eyes aren't even. You see that? That's okay, because I can like fix it, but I forgot that this mask was for me. I made it just like how I'd make a standard mask. Okay, I gotta trim up both sides. Alright, mask back on and back to random. When I got top surgery, it was like the greatest thing ever. So at the time I got top surgery, I was about a year on testosterone. Like a little bit short of a year. And then I stayed on testosterone. I'm still on testosterone. For now. So that's like, how many years is that? 19? This summer will be the 6th year of being on T. It's pretty cool. Now, every once in a while I'm inconsistent with my T-shots. Don't do that if you're on testosterone. I cut out the exact right leg. That's crazy. Anyway, I think it's funny because my gender identity, so obviously I look like a cisgender man. Most people, they see me, they're like, yeah, that's a cisgender man. Most people, I tell them I'm trans, they're like, really? And they don't understand which direction I'm going, whether I am AMAB and haven't started medically transitioning yet, or I'm AFAB and just like really finished with my transition. And most people assume that I'm like trans femme. They assume that I'm like AMAB and I'm going to like be more feminine presenting, but it's the opposite. Here's some real lore. Back in 2019 and 2020 and a little bit of 2021, actually probably the whole year of 2021 almost, I was on a like trans like Instagram account, like a group account. That also was a crazy situation. But I actually round up on the wrong side of the trans community for a hot minute there. When I was like 16, I was a hardcore trans med. All right, yeah, boo. I know. I've changed. But I was like crazy. Like I was really like, no, you have to have dysphoria to be trans. You have to suffer to be trans. You have to have this. You have to do this, or else you're not really trans. And I was like mad at like the non-binary people. I was like, it's a third gender if it's anything. It's crazy. I was a whole different person. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But I was like spreading like trans med. So I was like, yeah, you have to be medically. It was stupid. It was the dumbest thing ever. Okay, if you don't know what trans med is, basically there was this guy called Kelvin Garrett. If you don't know what trans med is, it's basically where you think that it's where you believe that you have to have dysphoria in order to be transgender. Now, dysphoria refers to gender dysphoria, which is the diagnosis of being trans, which is a controversial thing in its own right. But basically, it's like you have a disconnection with your birth gender, such as like not liking your physical anatomy, feeling like really like distressed by it, like something like that. So if you don't have that, you must not be trans, which is what I thought at the time. Then I grew and I changed and I realized, and for all the people that I yelled at for not being trans enough, I didn't like yell at people, but every once in a while someone would like try to start a fight with me and I'd just fight with them. Because I was younger and I didn't know better. I don't know. See, one thing I've learned is that you don't have to fight with people on the internet. If someone disagrees with you in a comment section, you can just delete their comment. You don't have to engage with the people that are just arguing with you and fighting you. And I was one of those people that was just, unfortunately, being really, like, argumentative and fighting with people. I was like, you have to have dysphoria to be trans. And then eventually, it's funny, because once I started passing more, as, like, a cis man, now passing is a whole other can of worms. But when I started passing more as a cis man, let me line this up again. Okay, first I gotta even up the sides. I was like, oh, wait, I actually kind of don't think I'm, like, fully a man. So, it took me a while, but I eventually got there, and oh my god, I feel so bad for, like, being a trans med, because how could I have been, like, so hateful? I don't know. And if you're a trans med now, let me tell you, it's not really fun. It's kind of miserable to fight with everybody all the time instead of just being like, sure, you can be a star gender, whatever, I don't care, man, life's short, you know what I mean? I don't know. But also remember that life is also long and you can change your label too. Because when I was like, I'm a man, I'm not a trans man, I'm a man. Like, I kind of got, yeah, listen, but I was also 15 and like 16 and 17. Like, listen, people are like that at that age. But still, I regret everything I said. Listen, I don't know. Because the thing at the time was like that micro labels were like stupid. Who cares? Like, label yourself however you want. It's your life. I don't know. And I just remembered why I had my mask off. Okay, let me trim this again. Hey, listen, it takes time to make these masks, and I'm trying to get this one. Okay, this is fine because I can sculpt it, but the snout's a little wonky right now. And I actually don't think the nose bridge is lined up right. There's a lot of like figuring with this. Okay, now with this part, I gotta act fast. I just heated this bad boy up with the heat gun, and I gotta glue it. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And then hopefully before it cools, I can stick it in the exact spot. Oh, I did make the nose bridge uneven, that's why. Okay. Fix that later. Glue it on and make sure it's lined up exactly how I want it. And now that I'm seeing it on the mannequin head, I can see all the problems that I didn't see when I was holding it up to my own face. But luckily, I was only holding it up to my own face so I could see where the snout ended, so. But fun trick, so when I'm making these masks and the snout isn't even, I'm sculpting it so I can actually make the snout even just with clay. I just have to draw a straight line down the snout where it's supposed to be. So this one's a little crooked. You can't really, yeah, you can tell a little bit, but it's crooked. It's angled. They usually don't come out perfectly straight just because I don't measure anything, so of course they're not going to come out perfectly straight. So what I do is I edit them, but if it's like really crooked, then I'll like detach one side and then cut a little bit off and then like reattach it. Because this one, it's really just the tip of the snout, it's like angled wrong. And I'm holding on to this mannequin head because I have to glue this to it. Now, why do I glue it to it? So it holds its shape. But how do I get it off the mannequin, you might be wondering? Well, I coat the mannequin head in tape first. I put a nice strip of tape, clear plastic packing tape over the mannequin head. Then I also paint it black because it looks better on camera. And then I just glue it to it. And the glue pops right off the tape. So after I'm done sculpting it, I can just detach the mask from the base, and boom, it's in the exact shape I wanted it to be. Life hack. Waiting for it to dry. The one annoying part is that you have to hold it for longer than you think. Because sometimes it just comes apart, and then it's like, no, but because it could also come apart randomly, like, after you sculpt it. So one side comes off, which means it doesn't dry evenly, so the mask is just the wrong shape. Then you have to do a lot of modifications. It's a whole thing. But now I've got this on the base, so. Okay, so the next step is drawing that line directly down. So I go from the middle, and I just draw it right down. So now you can see how uneven this mask is. Because that line is the middle, right? So you can see that's pretty uneven. So now that I'm looking at the snout, like, I could sculpt it. I think this section right here is just too wide for it. So I'm actually gonna have to detach this side of the base and trim it down. Glue it back on. All right, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Now, if you do readjust it, that means your line is not gonna be even anymore. So you might be thinking, oh no, like, my sound isn't even. But no, it's just because the line is no longer right. Glue this bad boy back on and position it in the right spot so it stays. Okay, now, see, now the line is uneven, but the snout is even. See, I fixed it. Fantastic. And just so I don't confuse myself, I just redraw the line like darker. So, okay, so this guy now needs ears. So I am actually extremely lucky because as you can see, this piece of foam here, ear shape. I can just trace this and I'll have the perfect ear shape. Because I actually made this ear shape. See, let me circle back. One of the hardest things to do for these is make the right ear shapes. Because I make a new one every time. I have patterns for them technically somewhere, but I think I can do it better every time. So, and then I make it based on the mask, so. But I think if I just trace, I'll have like the perfect ear shape. So now, I have this ear shape. Can't say that, but I'm gonna cut it out. And it should be the perfect ear shape. Okay, so now I've got both cut out, and we will see if they are the perfect ear shape. Guys, never mind. I found a set of ears I have already made that are even better, so we'll make these. Okay, I've gotten the ears attached to the base. Now, I know they look a little wide, and that's because I'm going to add something to the earlobe to make them look like I have stretched ears, because that's my favorite thing to do to my personal masks. Besides, like, other facial piercings, but that is what I'm going to do. So first what I'm going to do is just trim these, like, random circles I have lying around. Perfect. And then I'm going to trace that circle and go around the edge. Well, not trace, I guess just go around the edge carefully to make another circle. There we go. 2 circles, equal size. So now what I'm going to do is take my X-Acto knife. Actually, I'm going to take a pencil. I'm going to draw a nice circle within the circle. And then take my X-Acto knife and cut out that circle. Got ourselves a ring. I trace the circle so that the earrings are the same size. That'll be good. Okay, now that both circles are cut out, I'm going to put some glue on the back of it. Okay, so successfully added the second ring, and now I'm waiting for them to dry onto the mask. And actually, I think they're dry enough, so I'm going to start trimming away the ear underneath. There, so now what it looks like is this. Got some nice stretched earlobes that I will sculpt over and make look really, really cool. Okay, now that the ears are attached, I'd say that this concludes today's episode of Make a Mask With Me. I made this super cool base that I will start sculpting momentarily, and then make some more cool bases. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Make a Mask With Me. It helps me out so much when you guys watch my stuff, and I love that you guys enjoy my content. Thank you guys so much for the support. And if you like this, leave a like on the video and subscribe to my channel. It makes me really happy and allows me to keep doing this kind of thing for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will complete this base very soon, and I will see you next time.